Hi, everyone. This is Liz Brush, and I would like to welcome you to the webinar about Shooting Space, a closer look at Shooting Space. I think we have a good number of attendees who are trying to register very quickly to get on this, so we're going to give them a couple minutes. And I'm going to start. I'll introduce our speaker at 8:03 on my clock. That gives a couple people who looking for the registration a few more minutes. So thank you for your patience.
Oh, Liz. I'll have to send you a picture of this. I just had my partner was unassigned from my game. Let's see. Take a look at that.
Oh, wow.
Should I play a little John Denver music in the background?
You could. Oh, it's 8:03. No,
Oh,
I gotta be ready.
dang.
Okay. So like I said before, welcome to the webinar. This is a closer look at Shooting Space. I know that we've talked a lot about Shooting Space this year. It's a point of emphasis. And so Barb Martinicchio, who's a National Elite official in upstate New York area, has presented this both at the Western Regional Conference as well as the U.S. Lacrosse Convention this year, and as well as in the past. So she again is going to go through this information, and so I want to welcome you and thank you for getting on. This is being recorded. If you have people who are having a difficult time getting on, then please let them know they need to register. On the U.S. Lacrosse webpage, there's a registration link as well as on our Facebook page, and it is also being recorded. So with that being said, if you have questions, there's a question box at the bottom, and I will answer those as we go, and then we'll also go through some at the end. So on that, Barb, you are good to take over.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for attending tonight. I greatly appreciate it. As Liz has stated, I've spoke on obstruction of free space to goal quite a few times. I kind of feel like if someone were to ask you, who's Barb Martinicchio, like I'm not sure who that is. You know, the obstruction of free space to goal lady, oh yeah, I know who she is. Because I seem to be speaking just on this topic alone, and I've become so much better myself personally, just with all the information I dig into to make these PowerPoints and whatnot. It's helped me also in my game with making this call and understanding it. So it again is a point of emphasis in the high school rule book. Okay, I'm also on the committee as far as writing the rules for the rule book, so I was able to sit through and figure out how these get into the points of emphasis and how the rule changes take place. And every year this seems to be one that's brought up, and sometimes we tackle it from the defensive end, and this year we're tackling it from the offensive end. So obstruction of free space to goal, opportunity to shoot is being looked at this year with focusing on the attack player, on whether or not the attack player has created an opportunity to shoot. So that's what we're going to be looking at. Obstruction of free space to goal has a couple aliases. We also call it shooting space. And also it's discussed in the illegal defensive positioning portion. So we're going to look at all these different angles and probably using each one of these terminologies throughout the PowerPoint. It continues to be one of the most difficult rules for us to officiate and understand, but remember, it's a safety call. When in doubt, it's safety. So there are times where you might make this call and be unsure of whether or not you made the right call, but in your heart you felt that it was a safety issue, so that's why you blew your whistle. It's a judgment call, okay? And again, it can be called differently because each one of us officials have different forms of judgment of what we feel is safe and not safe. And as you move along in the more advanced game, you'll get a different feel for safety. But again, it's a judgment call. So there is no exact science to making it, okay? And it is one of the most difficult calls for us to make. So know that throughout however many years that you have in your, on your belt of officiating, it's always a difficult call to make. But in the end, I want us to focus on this point. If the attack player is in pursuit to goal and the defender has illegally placed her body so that she occupies a space which she's not entitled to, thus reducing the opportunity for the attack to shoot safely, then you are to make the call, okay? That's what we're going to be focusing on in this PowerPoint. Last year, I talked about illegal defensive positioning, which was more so what the defenders were doing. So again, that's why this one is more about what the attack has to do. Where's the ball? That's the first question. There's the ball. In order for the shooting space to be considered, the ball must be, okay, in the critical scoring area and above goal line extended. You must have this criteria in order to be even thinking about making the obstruction a free space to goal call. Okay. Yes, as many of you know, I'm a very big Peanuts fan, so there will be a plethora of Peanuts pictures throughout this webinar. So I'm sorry if you're a Scooby-Doo fan. The checklist for the attack, okay? What we want to look for is the attack player showing an active pursuit to goal? Are the player's hands, feet, and stick in a good position so that she can take a safe shot, okay? And does a safe opportunity to shoot exist? Okay, these are three big factors in making this call. This girl right here shows me all signs of wanting to shoot. Her body language, her stick placement, where the ball is, her feet, everything about it. She's ready to shoot. So this is what it could look like on the other end if there is a player in illegal defensive positioning. So we want to make sure that we call it very fast so that, yeah, this, no one gets harmed. Okay, this player also is showing all signs of wanting to shoot. Okay, this is a sidearm shot. Okay, that shot is to be taken very seriously. Okay, so we want to get that whistle off really quick so that it's not executed if there is a player in illegal defensive positioning. This player also is running to goal. Her stick, hands, feet, everything is showing me that she is in pursuit to goal. Okay, and same with this girl. She definitely, I would want to get out of her way if I was not marked up properly. Okay? So more things to be looking for. We want to look and see if the attack player is closely marked or double teamed by the defense, okay, that denies her an opportunity to shoot safely, okay? And while the attack player is running at goal, there's that whole situation where she could be looking off at a teammate, okay, but we also got to be aware that there's a definite potential for shooting space that might develop, okay? I know we've all been there. We see a defender down in there, and the attack player is coming in, and there's a possibility that there could be a pass off, but technically she's in illegal defensive positioning. It's not our job as an official to be in the mind of a young high school student, okay? So we don't know whether or not that player is going to pass or shoot. So again, judgment call, the way the game's been going, how accurate these kids are. Are they shooting if anyone's in there anyway? So, you got to make that call on your gut feeling as to whether or not it's safe or not. I know that we've been there and we've blown the whistle just as she's passing off to a teammate who then puts the ball in the net, okay? But again, it's not our job to try to figure out what their plan is for scoring. So make it on safety. okay, because that's your mission. It's just to keep everything safe, okay? So the lane, this is what we're going to be looking for. I know that some people can get confused when I say the lane, you know, when you're clearing the lane, but there is a pathway, okay, from the ball to the outside of the circle that is considered a shooting lane, okay? You have to make sure that the free space to goal is clear of all players in the lane, okay? Even if her own player was standing right dead set in front of the goal, she can't just shoot at or through her own player, okay? It's got to be safe. It does not exist if there's any players that are in there, okay? And here's what we're going to go through. It's the pathway defined by the two imaginary lines that I just said that lead from the ball carrier to the outside edges of the goal circle, which in a very simple diagram looks like this, okay? And it doesn't matter where the ball is in the critical scoring area above goal line extend, that's what it would look like, okay? If you throw a couple players in there, all these players are safely out of the lane, okay? And as you can note on the bottom, the white is defense and red is offense, and that's the way it will be throughout all the slides. Okay, no one is in the lane, this player could shoot. Now what we want to look for with the defense, what makes shooting space call to be made, okay? It's when a defender, while in the 8-meter arc, is not marked up with an attack player by being within a stick's length from the opponent, okay? So that means if the stick were touching the defender's body, the attack player needs to be within that stick's length in order to be legal in the 8 and be exempt from the shooting space call to be made, okay? They cannot use any part of their body to guard the outside of their goal circle, okay, which keeps the attack player from being able to come in and shoot. And it takes place between the ball carrier and the goal circle, and it denies her any opportunity to be able to shoot, okay, because technically you could leave a defender in there all day long and the attack would never be able to shoot, okay? Here's what a typical shooting space scenario would look like, okay? And if I were to put this in perspective as far as what the shooter sees, this is what the shooter would see. And if your whistle's not blown by here, it should be definitely blown by all of these scenarios, 7 clicks away, okay? Because by the time you get there, you're just way too late, okay? So we want to make sure that we've got this shooting space call right here, okay? Okay. Yeah, that's scary right there. Okay, so most often you'll see a good situation here where everyone's out of the lane and everything's looking pretty good, and then all of a sudden this player decides to leave her mark. And by leaving her mark, she now wants to defend the ball carrier and prevent her from going to goal. That's your typical shooting space call right there. And you've got to always have your whistle ready, because you never know when that player could very potentially leave her mark and decide to defend the ball carrier. This case scenario is a no shooting space opportunity, or excuse me, no opportunity to shoot situation, because the ball, even though the ball carrier is coming in, the attack player and the defensive player are within a stick's length here. So if the shooter were to shoot, it would be on the shooter that would be penalized on this, okay? And we'll discuss that a couple slides after this. But in this case scenario, again, she is marked up within a stick's length, okay? It's when she decides to come off, maybe receive a pass from her teammate, which leaves the defender in the lane, is when the shooting space call should be called, okay? This is your typical shooting space. The ball carrier's coming in, but if this girl's making an active move to get out of the way and be marked up with the defender, okay, she will be exempt from the shooting space call, okay? Now I want you to look at it in a way of, it only applies if she's not brought into it by the attacking player, okay? We don't want to penalize the defender for good defense if she's staying with her attack player, okay? I'm going to show you a couple clips here. In this case scenario, the attack player needs to be aware of what's going on in the 8. And if these two players are running through, the onus is on the attack player to wait for them to run through before she can come in and take her shot safely. Same with the official, okay? You're going to wait on that as those two players are running through and acknowledge that they're still moving, and you're not going to be calling shooting space on that if the defender is staying marked up with her attack player, okay? It's a fun little video that I made a couple years back. I'm not sure why I can't get my, there it comes, okay? Stays with her, it goes all the way through, okay? So that's safe. Here's one live on the field. You're going to watch the two low girls getting ready to come across the right of the goal, okay? And she stays with her defender the whole time, okay? Not quite sure why I can't get to the thing below to drag it, but okay, can't get to it. Okay, so we'll watch this one again. She goes all the way through. She's staying with her girl the whole way through. So you don't want to penalize that defender, even though there's just a slight bit of, there wasn't even a pause, but the attack player did get, you know, a hair ahead, but the defender kept going with her attack player, okay? Acknowledge that. And that's where you don't want to penalize the kid for being dragged through by the attack player, okay? It's when we have this case scenario when the defender decides to stop following her attack player and stop to defend. And that's when we got to be ready with our whistle to make that call, okay? And again, another fun little video here. And boom, she gets it. No worries. There were no college students harmed during the making of this video, okay? So she stopped, she paused, and the attack player decided to shoot anyway, which I'm quite sure that you all know what that would be. It would be offsetting fouls, okay? So what's going to happen there is you're going to immediately blow your whistle for the shooting space, because the defender decided not to stay with her attack player. She stopped, she paused, and then, of course, the shooter decided to shoot anyways, thus hitting the defender. Now, she wouldn't have to hit the defender if it was still unsafe enough that it was a safety issue, that it was, you know, shot with no regard to the defender being there, and you felt that it was very unsafe, especially up towards the upper body, head area. I would definitely whistle that and be calling an offsetting foul, which would be dangerous propelling and also shooting space, okay? Make sure we're setting that up at the dot this year, okay? So, marking the player behind the goal circle. This is another one that I get asked a lot about. Is the defender exempt from shooting space if she stays legally marked to her attack player? Okay? So here you have number 2, who is staying with her attack player, okay, and has no regard as to where the ball is right now. All she's focused on is where her opponent is that she's marking. If number 1 were to be going to goal right now in pursuit to goal, you would definitely be calling a shooting space violation here, okay? Number 2, in fact, needs to acknowledge where the ball is, okay, and she needs to get out of the way. She needs to back out of that lane, okay, like this. And as the attack player were to come in, she needs to go out and come back up and redefend, okay, within a stick's length of the attack player. She will always be exempt from the 3-second violation, okay, but she's not exempt from shooting space. She can't just turn her back on where the ball is and think that she's in a safe environment, okay? So you want to jump on those calls and be aware that that's happening. Okay. Oh, and that should have gone before all of that, but that's okay. Oh no, this is the other one. I'm sorry, my bad. So is shooting space, if the attack player has her back to the goal and she's looking away from goal, okay? And this is a case scenario where I know in the past we used to have looking to go to goal or looking to shoot. We took that out of the wording. But here's a case scenario where she isn't even looking at the goal, okay? So if her back is to goal and she's not even looking at the goal, then that means to me that she's not in pursuit to goal. She is not on a scoring play at this point, okay? So now you're going to wonder, is it legal for her or legal for me to call a shooting space violation? Okay, if this player is looking upfield and there's a player down between the goal and the shooter, okay, she's looking at the back of the shooter right now. Should I, as an official, be calling shooting space on her because she's not marked up with anyone? And I'm going to tell you, no, no, you should not be calling it because, again, she's not in pursuit to goal, okay? What you're going to want to do is, at this, so here's a picture of her back is to goal, okay? Always be on the alert, you know, always, you never know what these kids are going to do, so you always want to be ready when the ball, especially is in the 8 like this, because some of these players now are deciding to shoot over their shoulder or sidearm around the defender, okay? So at this point, you would not be calling shooting space because the shooter, it's her onus to know what is in front of the goal circle right now, okay? She can't just assume that there's a free space to goal to shoot, okay? She has to acknowledge what is in front of the goal circle. If this blue player were to shoot right now to goal, I would definitely be calling just a straight out dangerous propelling at this point, okay? If the ball went anywhere near the defender, if the ball went errant and wide and not even to goal, okay, you have to use some judgment there. But if she were to shoot on goal right now, not having acknowledged who's in front of the goal circle, this would be a straight out dangerous propel, and no shooting space violation would be called here. But as soon as this player takes now her step and acknowledges that there is someone there, this is where your shooting space violation would be whistled immediately. Okay? And there's your shooting space call. Make it sure it's up high so everyone can see. You know, it should be above, a little above your head, out away from your body, and hold it for a second or two at least so that people know what you're in fact calling. Okay, here's a couple video clips. Again, I'm not sure why the way I have this set up today that I don't have the ability to stop the video and drag it. So I'm hoping that you're going to be able to see it. And Liz, if it's not running right, just send me a text and I'll know not to run some of the later videos. Okay, she's, oops, I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. Okay, so let's see. Why is that doing that? Let me go back one more and then click. So the player's coming blue. She turns her back. There's a girl down low, okay, but she's making no pursuit to goal right now. She actually is kind of figuring out what she wants to do with the ball right now. But I would be ready in case she makes one step to go towards goal and be ready to make that shooting space call. We'll watch it again. She comes up. She's kind of looking around as what to do, backs in a little bit. But if anything, I would be thinking more along the lines of starting a 3-second call on that defender down low. Okay? This player also, she's coming in pretty good, but she turns her back. And you'll see the defender down low that decides to hang out for a minute. Okay, but she never shows any signs of going to goal. Her feet aren't in a position and her stick isn't in a position to be able to carry out a safe shot on goal. So this girl, in fact, would not get the shooting space call, but would, in fact, have a 3-second count started on her. Okay? We're going to move a little bit into stick positioning now. As you come along in your officiating, first of all, just remember, I'm not sure how many years along or if it's your first year or whatever, you've got to get acclimated to making the shooting space call. There are going to be times when you are going to make a quick, hasty decision on a shooting space call, and you're going to realize later that, you know, that deep defender was marked up or whatnot. But it's an understanding, or even if there's players that are tucked down in there and the attack player really hasn't maybe made that pursuit to goal, but you've called that shooting space call anyways because there's a player camped out in there. That's your progression. You're starting to build and fine-tune things, and as you become more fine-tuned, you'll start adding this criteria into your judgment of whether or not the player is ready to shoot or not, okay? And stick positioning is one of them. if this girl were coming to goal and us as people watching this PowerPoint were in the position of where the goalie would be, so she's coming right at me, and there's a defender in her way, I would not be so quick as to blow my whistle at this point because her stick is not prepared to make a shot on goal right now, okay? She's probably going to be wrapping that stick back up around to her right side, and as soon as it came up around and her pocket was open to goal, that's when I would be blowing my whistle quick. Same with this girl. If the player off to the left who is outside a stick's length were to remain there and this player had her stick actually turned around facing the goal, I would be quick on a whistle for shooting space here. But as you can see, she's still cradling and isn't making a decision on what she's going to do yet. So, in fact, the shooting space call would not be made until her stick is turned around. Okay? She might be heading right inside the 8 right now, and she might have 1 or 2 players illegally marked up, but her stick's not ready to take that shot yet. Okay? Again, she should be wrapping it around the right-hand shoulder there probably and opening her stick to goal, and then an immediate whistle would be made once that stick is open to goal. Okay, you'll see this player also is definitely in pursuit to goal, but not ready to shoot. This is the hasty one where we sometimes anticipate. We see her there, so we know what's probably going to happen in another second, so we blow our whistle quick. But in fact, we want to make sure that the ball is in contact with the stick before we blow that whistle. That ball might bounce right out of her stick and land on the ground, and you've just called a shooting space call, and the ball's not even in her stick. Okay? In that case scenario, when you realize that an inadvertent whistle would be call would be made on that. Okay? This player here in pink, the girl down low would absolutely be in illegal defensive positioning if the player with the ball was ready to shoot. Her stick's in front of her. She's not showing signs yet of wanting to have that ball up to take a shot on goal. Okay, so I would just wait another second or two. Okay? Always like to bring this back into it again because I know I keep saying safely and whatnot. So remember, it's a safety call. An immediate whistle should be used when all these criteria have been met, okay? So just always remember when you make that call, whether or not a coach likes it or not, you can always just tell them, the coach, I did not feel that it was a safe situation, and that's why I blew my whistle. Okay? Now we're going to expand into seeing the bigger picture, okay? You know how when you go and get rated and your observers are watching you, one of the biggest things we were always told is that we're watching the ball. You watch the ball too much. You need to take your eye off. And, you know, when you're in the trail, you need to watch this or, you know, whatnot. We just all want to watch the ball at all times. Doesn't matter what level we're at. We have to always stay focused and tell ourselves, you know, when we should be off ball and when we should be on ball. Same thing with when we're responsible for making the shooting space violation. We need to not so much be on the ball and the first defender, who definitely is in, say, an illegal defensive positioning. Had we looked through that defender and noticed that now there was an attack player and a defender deep in the 8 on top of the goal circle, that in fact we would not be making a shooting space call here because there is not a safe opportunity to shoot because of the 2 players down low. First see that meet and greet and you want to just quickly blow your whistle because that's what we're looking at right away, okay? As you come along in your officiating, you're going to really need to just open up that frame, that picture frame, and try and see through that first defender, okay, and look through the 8 and see all that's going on deeper in towards the goal circle, okay? This player here, you see that first meet and greet of that blue player. She's not within a stick's length, and this player actively looks like she wants to be able to take a shot. Sometimes hastily we blow our whistle, okay? But she in fact would be shooting through 2 other players, which would be hands down a dangerous propelling, okay? This is a tough one to try to get yourself acclimated to, okay? And this is what it looks like in a diagram. You come up on this first defender and want to call the shooting space, but in fact, there's no opportunity to shoot here. These two, you see that they're both marked up, okay? But in fact, I'm saying in fact a lot, just realizing that, sorry. If the ball were to get past this first white defender, there is a shooting space opportunity here. That player down low is not marked up, okay? There's a whistle that's going to happen here if she comes and gets past that. Not even so much get past her. You can shoot, being marked up, okay? So be prepared. Again, with the players running through, you have to wait for these players to get through. Ball carrier's coming. She's greeted by the first defender, okay? And there's a lot of busy stuff going on in front of the 8. And that attack player sees it because she's looking at goal, okay? So she's going to see that these 2 players are running through there. The onus is on that attack player not to shoot until the lane is clear. Those players are running through and she hit one of them going through. It would be a dangerous propelling, okay? Could happen up high. You could have that defender down low, and you could have 2 players up high that are running through. She needs to wait until they're through, and so don't you as an official, and then the shooting space call would be made. So, it's easy to look at it, I know, on a diagram. Then when you see it in fast action on the field, but just putting these thoughts in your head that, we learn the basics from the rule book on what the rule for shooting space is. But in all actuality, there's a lot that goes into making this call or not making this call. So one of the most frequently asked questions that I get also is, can you call shooting space if the player is outside the 8 or even at the 12? Okay. And of course, yes, you can and you should. Okay. Shooting space, like I said before, if the ball is in the critical scoring area, which means the attack player could be stepping on the 12. If she's stepping on the 12, that makes her in the critical scoring area. Okay, and that's where we judge whether or not it's shooting space if she's in that area. If this player here were stepping on the 12, if her foot was on the 12-meter hash mark right now, I would hope that you're going to be calling shooting space. Even though she's not running to goal or making a forward momentum to goal, she's showing me right here that she's going to take a shot on goal. This case scenario probably is going to be towards the end of a half or say end of the game, so many seconds left, and she winds up and she wants to take that shot. You've got to be ready with your whistle. So yes, you can. Even if the defender is outside the 8-meter, yes, you can make the shooting space call on that if she wants to shoot and show signs of shooting. This blue player here, number 46, is going to show you a perfect example of making that call right there. Okay, I'm going to try to figure out, you guys, hold on one second. I'm going to hit this escape button. And I'm going to see, here we go. I'm going to make this a little smaller just for the time being, okay, so I can help in dragging this. Okay, so I'm going to start it and then drag it. See, his number 46 is running in, okay? Even though right here she's showing me an active pursuit to goal, and boom, her stick comes up right here, okay? She's not at the 12 yet, okay? So you're going to have to hold on that, okay? But as she approaches and her left foot comes along, she lands here, okay, but her stick's not ready yet at this point. And then right there, bam, is your shooting space call. Okay, first of all, that defender is not trying to mark up with anyone. Neither one of them are, okay? So as you can see, the official does make that shooting space call. It's a good call on his part. We don't see that very often, okay? But this is a prime example of, yes, you can. Now, the defender is in the 8, okay? So that is where the foul is. So it's going to be an 8-meter free position, okay? And I'm going to go back up here. Yep. And go to the next. Watch it one more time. Boom. Okay? So now we're going to watch some video, and I'm going to actually bring us back to the small screen again because I think it's more. Liz, send me a text if you feel I should be going to, or pipe on just for a minute, Liz. Are you there?
Yeah, it just took, yes, it took me a second to unmute.
I'm going to run this video and let me know if I need to make it smaller and hold and drag it. Is it running choppy? You guys?
Yeah, it's choppy. I think if you drag it, even if it's a little bit smaller, like you have to make it,
Yeah.
that
Okay.
that
I'm
would be
gonna
helpful.
this. That's good. Everyone can see
Yeah,
that.
stretch that. If you can stretch that screen, just yep, just like you're about to do. Yep, yep,
Smart
yeah.
lady. That is why U.S. Lacrosse pays her the big bucks.
I'm gonna
Right,
unmute now.
gentlemen. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Elizabeth. All right, so here we are. Yeah, and let me watch this again, you guys, just to see which one I got here. I think this is seen through the layers. Yeah, okay. So we're going to come back here. So the ball's starting with that player, as you can see, to the left. Okay. She passes up to her teammate. Boom. Okay. Now, at first, you're focused on number 14, okay, who is right in there all by herself. But why are we not calling any shooting space right here? I can hear you all, even though I can't hear you all, because she's not in the critical scoring area. Okay? She comes in and she is still not in. And now she's in. Now her stick's backwards. Okay? And as soon as she brings her stick up, okay, she's not ready to shoot right here because the defender has taken that opportunity for her to shoot away. Okay? But as soon as she gets around right there, okay, there's a plethora of players. Okay? So there is no safe opportunity to shoot this ball. Okay? Nothing. Oh, she lost it. Good defense. Very well done. Okay? Next one. Maybe not the next one. Let's see. Continue playing it out. Okay. Nope, doesn't want to go to the next one, so I will do it myself. Okay. This is when we want the trail to be ready. If I remember correctly, this is going to be that scenario where the defender is marking up, and oh, here comes the shooter, and they forget about their mark and decide to go with.
Just under 6 minutes left alone.
Oh, there's volume.
Alone turns.
Okay, so I'll pull it, I'll drag it back, and number 4, White has the ball on the right-hand side. She's coming to goal. Okay, nothing there. But as soon as she shows signs here, okay, and right there, okay, that defender decided to leave her attack player and pick up the shooter and put herself in illegal defensive positioning. Okay, then there should be a whistle. And as you can see, the trail official, I think this is a 3-person, yes it is in fact, the trail official has a perfect view of that, and she calls it. I would have maybe liked to seen it called a little quicker, like right there. Okay? Okay. But that's easy for me to be sitting at my computer and making that judgment call. Okay? This is a good one. I want you guys to watch this one and tell me whether it is shooting space or not shooting space. Okay, no, white gets the ball. Ball's down on goal line extended, comes up to 20, is that 29? Yep, comes up to 29. Boom. Turns and goes to white. Okay, and there was a shooting space violation called there. And if I could hear all of you talking right now, you would be saying a couple things. First thing would be that she never initiates any form of pursuit to goal. Okay? She, in fact, catches the ball and immediately turns to her teammate. Okay? So there's one criteria of not having met the shooting space violation. Secondly, she receives the ball, and as you can see in front of the circle, or in the 8 in front of the goal, there's, you know, 2 blue and 2 white that are clearly marked up with her defenders. She were to shoot through that hot mess, she would be sitting next to her coach right now and saying, I don't want to know what she'd be saying, but yeah, that's what would be happening. Okay? So there is, in fact, no shooting space here. Okay. Let's see. We're going to talk a little bit about positioning, okay, and how to stay in position. Best little tidbits that I can give you on that is to position yourself so that you can see between the attack player and the defender. So you can see the time and the space and the distance. Space would be the same thing as distance, but anyways, you want to position yourself so that you have a clear view between that. If you're lined up directly behind the attack player, then it's a very hard judgment call to make whether or not they're a stick's length away. Okay? And it'll be able to give you more of an idea of what the attack player, where she's going with that ball. Okay? So, this is going to move on its own. Okay, I'm going to bring myself back up to the current slide like this. Okay, so be ready for the shooting space call on your half to assist the middle with the lead, or the lead with stuff that goes in the middle. Okay, so as that ball moves, so shall the trail off her spot. Okay, I know this is a little more difficult in the two-man system. You need to know what your fitness is for this. Because if the ball is on a quick turnover, now you've got that much more space to cover to get upfield. But in a good physically fit official's body, you would want to be able to move as that ball comes across and get in good positioning to help the lead make calls. Okay? Same with this one. Okay? You started up high because the ball was in the middle, so you brought yourself over a little bit, which is good. Okay, and then as soon as the ball moved to your side of the field, so should you. And I've positioned this so that the official can see through the attack player and the defending player down low. Okay, so try to move out wide, you guys, to make that shooting space call. Don't stay, hiked up here, right at that restraining line where a lot of us like to hike out, okay? Make sure we're moving and keeping ourselves moving and come in at times when we need to help out. Your lead will love you for it, okay? Wow, why do I have him way over there like that? That's a little bit, let's see if something happens here. Yeah, so creep towards the middle. He was out there pretty wide. I'm not sure why, or she. Okay, but as soon as that ball starts to move, boom, you should be coming in really quick and helping with it and lining up so you can make that shooting space call. Okay? Same with this one. Boom. You don't want to come over too far, okay? You're never going to want to come over too far because, like I said, you need to readjust. You're only a two-person system, and now with the free movement, we need to be that much more quick and nimble. But if you can do it, it will help out with your lead. Okay. Here's a video that I have used because I found that in this case scenario that the trail on this one, I would have liked to seen him move more. As the ball moves across the top of the 8 and goes out wide and comes in, there should be some form of movement with the official as the ball fluctuates. And then you'll almost see where instead of moving, the official kind of just crouches over and leans and like looks instead. Maybe if we had been a little bit more up and angled better, it would have been noticed that there was a shooting space that transpired. And then by the time that happened, the shooter had shot, which now made it offsetting fouls, okay? Because there was a dangerous propelling and shooting space that goes on. Okay. I know it's choppy. We'll just run it through once. See him lean right there, okay? So help your lead out as best you can. Let me find the ball for a second, you guys. Let's see. Okay, the ball's coming over to 16, right near the official, okay? And as it starts to go the other way, you see right here where 16 has the ball and she starts to move to her right, and then this official for some reason moves to the left. I'd like to see you kind of move to the right with the player, okay? And get maybe a little more centered on that one. Even so, this is a 3-person game here also. So I don't want you to be confused as to why that trail official is in so deep. Okay, you can see where the 30 is, where the restraining line is. If this official was up higher, say at the 25 even, okay, that's understandable for a 2-person system, okay, but needed to be more towards the middle on this, again, okay? Come towards the middle, and as soon as this player starts to cut over, okay, you'll see this player, let me do this two-handedly, I'm kind of crisscrossing. Hold on just a second, you guys. You see the player starting to approach with the, right outside the goal circle on the left-hand side. She starts to come in right here, okay? And the player shoots right through her. And there's your dangerous propelling. And I'm gonna let you watch a little bit quicker. 16 gets it. She comes through. She barrels through. And then she shoots right. I mean, there should have been a shooting space call, like say, right here. Okay, right here. And she gets her. Okay? So just try to move yourself a little more, okay? To get yourself in position to make those calls. And again, try not to be that official that stands there and bends forward, bends to the right, bends to the left, okay? Move your feet. Any coach is gonna, if you're in good positioning to make that call, you're still probably going to catch flack from a coach that, you know, is 60 yards away and thinks that it's shooting space, okay? But if you're out of position and not there to be able to make the call, it's going to be really hard on your credibility to sell a no call or a call on things. So keep yourself moving, okay? Anticipate play, get in position, have your whistle ready, and make the call, okay? And thus ends the end of my obstruction of free space to goal PowerPoint. Liz will be piping on again here really quick to let me know if there was any questions that took place during the course of this.
Okay, so I tried to answer questions. There were a number of questions about when you have shooting space and dangerous propelling at the same time. So that's basically a foul on each team. Just because one is a card and one is a major foul, one doesn't trump the other. So they're both considered fouls, and so we'd have an alternate possession. That was a number of questions there. Good question, John. There's a question here. Can you review shooting space against the goalie? Do you want to take that, Barb?
Yes. If the goalkeeper steps out of her goal circle, she then becomes a field player. Okay? And I know that there's a difference with collegiate and high school. This is high school. So yes, if the goalkeeper steps out of her goal circle, she then becomes a field player, and if she is not within a stick's length of the attack player, she is in shooting space. So that would be a shooting space violation.
And she would go behind the free position.
What's that? Yes, and it would be set up as an 8-meter free position, and the goalie would not be able to go in her own goal circle for that. She'd go behind. Okay, can you call it dangerous repelling on? You most certainly can. If the attack player comes in, the goalie is outside. I know that she's got equipment on, but if that shooter comes in with a hard enough shot that just, beams that goalkeeper in the face, neck area, has no regard for trying to shoot around that goalkeeper, it's the same criteria that you would use as an offsetting foul, a dangerous propelling and a shooting space violation. So just keep in mind.
So if there is a dangerous propel, mandatory card, goal, and the ball goes to the dot with the shooter behind at the top of the 8. So if we have a dangerous propel, it doesn't appear here. So if we just have a straight up dangerous propel, defenders are marking down below, dangerous propelling. The ball will go to the 8-meter, come straight out directly from where that shot was taken. The player who shot will be now carded and sitting off the field, and we do not place anybody behind.
And the closest player to where the foul happened would be the player that you would select to take the free position.
The penalty for shooting space when the defender is just outside the 8 goes to the spot of the foul, and we clear the lane. Correct. So if you have a shooting space where the foul is the kid in shooting space, so the spot of where she is when the foul occurred. So that is correct. I did that one. Would the offsetting fouls not occur as often if you are more on top of shooting space violations and call it quickly? Then the shot may not be taken. That is hopefully correct, because attackers need to know that they cannot shoot into anybody standing there, a crowd or a solo person. So yes, if you can get your shooting space calls quick, then you've done your due diligence, and now you just have to hope the attacker does not shoot. If a defender is marking a player behind the goal circle, does she have the right to follow the player she is marking across the front of the goal circle if the attack is going to goal? Barb, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I think what you're saying there is the same case scenario as when I showed the diagram of the attack player and the defender, and they're running through the 8. Okay, the shooter has to wait until they've cleared that path. Same thing, whereas if on the right-hand side of the goal circle, a white player is defending a red player below the goal circle, if the defender is moving through, okay, the attack player is allowed to move with her with no hesitation and to keep going with her. She's allowed to just keep staying with her, okay? There should be no hesitation that she stops and now defends, okay? Same type of movement.
And the other question that came up earlier, I thought you were going to show this slide, but there's a question about how should a attacker approach the ball carrier to remain outside of shooting space.
Yeah, I did have one of them in one of my past PowerPoints, but at that time I didn't know how to make players move. It's kind of funny because I also coached at a high school level a few years back, and it's something that's so hard to teach your players, because in all reality, we're teaching them to defend and not allow the attack player to come in to goal. But if you have that defender that's in there, she looks up, she sees the attack players coming. What I would tell your defenders is to make an obvious movement to back up, to get out of the lane, to show that they're showing a progression to get out of the way of the shooter, and almost reapproach as in like an arc, and redefend when the defender is within a stick's length of the shooter. So easy to just tell you this than to see it. But in all reality, if the attack player is coming in, I would tell your defenders to back up They can lead with their stick in the cone area as long as they're getting their body out of the obstruction of free space to goal. They can leave their stick in there and stay out of it and reapproach that attacker when they become within a stick's length. Unless you have a better way of describing that, Liz.
Nope, I agree. Here's a question. Would you call shooting space on multiple players, possibly two, if they are in the lane? Or would it be the closest to the defender to the offensive player?
My judgment on that is if there's two of them, Liz, correct me if I'm wrong. If there's two players that are down in shooting space, both blatantly in shooting space, I'm just going to quickly call shooting space and pick one of them and put them behind.
I agree.
Yeah, this is not like, oh, there's three people there, now all three of you go behind. Okay, this is just pick one of them quickly and put them behind and set up.
Okay. Any other questions?
I don't know if I touched on it at all, but if you're any of these people on this PowerPoint are coaches, something I didn't really maybe emphasize is just remember the onus is always on the shooter not to shoot. If there is, you feel as a problem going on in the game that you feel the shooting spaces aren't called, or to your specification say, that would be a good time maybe to call timeout and just discuss with an official what criteria they might be using to make the shooting space call, just to plant the seed that you feel like there's a backer system going on and the backer is always ending up in shooting space, denying my shooter an opportunity to shoot. Can you keep an eye on that for me? But in all reality, you'll hear coaches that get frustrated thinking that there's shooting space, so they just tell them to shoot anyway. Okay? That's not good coaching. Okay? The onus is on that shooter not to shoot. And also the defender needs to know that they need to get out of the way of the shooter. Okay, so there's onus kind of on both of you, but the attack player is the one that's going to get carded. Okay.
All right, Lucy's asking, is there ever a case scenario where you would put two behind? I don't know if you agree with me. I would say probably not. Not for shooting space.
Yeah, I'm going to second that one. The only thing I can tell you is if they're consistently jumping into shooting space, I have had a game where it was just shooting space, shooting space, shooting space. I have carded for that. I have upgraded that to a card before. If it looked like they just were maybe possibly intentionally doing it, or it was affecting the game in a negative way. Okay, you can upgrade, but you need to discuss that. Let it be known that that's where you're getting at.
And one more here is, does the goalie need to be fully out of the goal circle to have a shooting space call blown against her?
I guess I would deem that if she is 1 foot grounded outside the goal circle, that makes her outside the goal circle. Liz, do you have a different point on that? 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I'm assuming that's the question.
Yeah, it is. I would lean towards 2 feet out is shooting space.
Yeah. That would be
So that's going to have quickly, if you can watch your goalies, the ones that come out quickly when the players come in at them, and the ones that stay in. So it's going to be rare if you have one that's kind of straddling the line, but like my gut, I would say that in order for a shooting space call to be made, I would have her wholly out the goal circle.
Holy Moses, she's out. Shooting space. What's she doing? Yeah, normally if you're going to see 1 foot in, 1 foot out, it's probably going to be that goalie that knows how to step up and into, and I wouldn't be calling shooting space on that, no. So giving you time to think about it, the process, she's out there. You'll see it. A lot of times, what'll happen to you guys is she'll come out, she's out of the goal circle, and then all of a sudden, there's a quick turnover. And now all of a sudden the goalie's like, holy cow, I'm out of the goal circle and I got to get back in there really quick. And she decides to completely turn her back on goal and run right down the middle of the field back into her circle, thus denying a safe opportunity for the shooter to shoot. So that would also be a shooting space violation. If she has no regard as to where that shooter is and she's obstructing that area.
Agreed.
Seen
Anything
that
else? Okay. All right. Well, thank you for attending, and Barb, thanks for another excellent presentation. And everybody have a great night.